Hey, have you heard? Four-Legged Life has a new digital newsletter. Here, let me show you how you get yourself subscribed. So you just type in Four-Legged Life, and that'll take you to the website. There we go. And this magic thing just appears, and you type in your email address. I'll use, let's see, how about coolestdogever@gmail.com. That's me. And then you just click on this thing here. There you go. It's the new digital newsletter from Four-Legged Life. Get subscribed today.
No place on the planet is safe from natural disasters. I mean, even places we call paradise, like the island of Maui. Far too many lives were lost when the wildfires ravaged the town of Lahaina on August 8th. And the recovery is still ongoing. That's why I'm very honored to have on my show today a real hero for all cats everywhere, including Maui. Please, at this time, welcome the co-founder of Neighborhood Cats, Brian Cordes. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Hi, Arden. Thanks so much for having me.
And where exactly are you? Because I know Neighborhood Cats is based in New York City, but you're a man with a suitcase.
Yeah, I'm my wife and I, Susan Richmond, who's the executive director of Neighborhood Cats, and my wife, we're
very well put.
Yeah. So, executive director first, wife. No, just kidding. We're based on Maui. We moved here several years ago from New York City to kind of start a new chapter for Neighborhood Cats, and we've stayed ever since.
And for those catching this on my Arden Moore YouTube, he is wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Move over, Tom Selleck. All it's missing in this is a big, thick mustache.
It's one of the great things about living in Hawaii. Is, you can go to court and wear this and you'd be fine. So,
well, August 8th, not a great day, was it? Are you on Maui? You're in Maui, right? So
yes.
How far away were you from the fires?
Well, the fires were all over the island. Obviously, the most devastating one was in Lahaina. But when we went to bed that night, we saw 20, 30-foot flames several miles away from where we were.
Wow.
And, kind of hoped that they wouldn't be coming our way. And where I am escaped any destruction. There were some evacuations, but nothing got destroyed. But there were a couple, so, I'd say 2 or 3 areas that got hit pretty badly, but nothing like the town of Lahaina.
I mean, the images of people having to jump into the water. Years ago, I lived in Oceanside, California. I was about a mile from the ocean. I always thought if there's a wildfire that hit, I would drive and just go in the water. And many people did that, didn't they?
Well, many people had no choice. There was almost no warning. They thought the fire had been extinguished earlier in the day. So when it picked up again, there was nobody there to watch it. And then the winds were unusually high that day with 50 to 80 mile an hour gusts. And they just blew the fire right down into the town, which being an old town, there's a lot of wooden structures. And it just ignited in minutes. And since there was no warning, people just ran outside, and it's a town with only a couple of egress points.
Mm-hmm.
Where people got caught in traffic jams by the ocean. And yeah, some of them, jumped into the water, and fortunately, I think most of them made it, but some did not.
Right. And then you've got the second aspect. We're worried about the people, but we know that our four-legged friends have kept us sane for many years, especially during COVID. And also the community cat colonies are also, so there's sentient beings out there that needed help. So August 8th, what happened on August 9th for you?
Well, the few weeks right after the fire were really very difficult for those of us in the animal welfare community, because the emergency management officials would not allow us in to rescue pets or community cats. Really, I think what happened was the fire was so devastating. I mean, literally the landscape is almost entirely ash and charred metal and some cinder blocks.
That's crazy.
And that's it for miles. So there was this assumption that, nobody and no animal could have survived. And they didn't want search and rescue teams in because they were searching for bodies and remains and, this whole thing about it might be disturbed. And it was really very ignorant because the people who would have gone in at that time are highly trained.
Exactly.
How to function in disaster areas. And it turned out they were completely wrong. There are hundreds of animals. There's already been like 700 animals pulled out of the burn zone, and there are still several hundred more that remain in there. So with the cats, what we think happened was when the fire started, the ones that were outdoors jumped into the storm drains. And
Smart.
they rode out the fire underground and came back up. But they didn't allow search and rescue in for 3 weeks. And then search and rescue went in and just started grabbing anything with 4 legs that was moving. And there were so many more than had been expected that the Maui Humane Society, the local shelter, became overwhelmed in a matter of days. And so they had to put a stop to the rescue part of it because they had no space and no idea what to do with these hundreds of cats. So at that point, they still wasn't a full understanding of how many were left. So they asked Neighborhood Cats to take over the operations in the fire zone. And we agreed to do that. And the first thing we did was start putting feeding stations out all over the place.
Smart. Yes. Yeah.
So they had access to food and water. We used like as high quality food as we could get from the donations and just try to keep them alive. And then slowly over the next couple of weeks, we realized there are hundreds of cats that are still out here. And since then, we've been kind of slowly extracting them, or I shouldn't say slowly, but at a pace that the local shelter system can handle, because we don't want to crash them again. And we don't want hundreds of cats getting sick, sitting in little cages. So that's kind of where we're at right now. 2.5 months later is every night we go in with trappers. Every day we have people feeding. And as capacity is available to pull them out, we do that. And we prioritize right now the more urgent cases. So any medical cases, most of them are taken care of by now. Any young kittens, unfortunately, there are very few. And any cats that we can identify match with owners, we're pulling them out. So it's a very selective, as space, sometimes a whole block of space opens up and then we'll go clear out a whole area and not do
what a logistic challenge. Everyone, we're speaking with Brian Cordes, and he is with Neighborhood Cats. He and his wife, Susan, they're based on Maui. They've done a lot of great work. We're going to find out later in the show in New York City and beyond. This is a cat man do. He knows how to help cats, and you're helping pet cats and community cats. And I'm sure you found dogs too.
A few, I haven't personally, but the dogs that survived were pulled out pretty quickly.
Okay.
And, we're probably talking a few dozen dogs. They had a much rougher time as compared to hundreds of cats and lots of community cats too. Yeah, we treat them all equally.
I like that.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.